Well, Emily and Sue, that distribution started at 7 o'clock this morning. Just a few hours ago, this semi was completely full with cases of water. It has since been emptied out. So far, they estimate they've given out 10,000 cases of water. More are unloaded here. And as you can tell, this distribution is just getting started. This resignation letter explains why John Engler was not in the room this morning. He's in San Antonio for a funeral. It goes on to list the accomplishments that he says he's put in place here at MSU. But one thing it doesn't say, I'm sorry. People have been taken into custody here after sleeping in the park in a protest and advocating for more resources for people experiencing homelessness. You can see behind me people who have been taken into custody. The environment here is much different than the environment at his fellow Democratic candidates. There is no big watch party for the Shri Tanadar team, rather a small reception that will be getting underway here shortly for his staff members, volunteers who've been helping him through this entire campaign. This is actually a walkway that usually extends through this park, and yet there's massive chunks of ice that come right up to this walkway. Last night, this was all rushing flood waters, but this morning we had that freezing rain, and it became this massive ice jam that's becoming a big concern for area residents.
Well, tonight, Lynsey Mukomel is taking a deeper look at the campus culture and how it failed hundreds of athletes.
Well, Brian and Marley, failure is a word that many have used when describing this case. MSU's leaders admitted to failing the survivors. The survivors say coaches and trainers failed to report Nassar years ago. It's all part of a bigger cultural issue surrounding sexual assault, especially on college campuses. And I've spent the last few weeks examining where we go from here.
I would say it's shocking to see the degree of institutional collapse, and I don't say those words lightly.
Joanne Gerstner is an award-winning sports journalist. Her work's been featured by the New York Times, ESPN, and U.S. Olympic Committee.
A lot of people had to allegedly do things not the right way for us to get to where we were.
She currently teaches at Michigan State as the sports journalist in residence. Despite her pride in the university, she's not shying away from recognizing changes must come from this.
When you hear woman after woman,
I've told counselors your name in hopes that they would report you.
Girl after girl in that court say, I told somebody.
The investigation done by MSU was brief and sloppy, and it left me feeling disposable and worthless.
And nobody listened. You just want to cry.
I told Tim about it, and he said, oh no, that couldn't have happened. I've known Larry for years.
You want to cry for them, because that's not right.
To Kathy Klages, I am so disgusted by you. Women who came up to you in 1997 and you told them that they would have consequences for speaking out about Larry.
They tell you, say something, we'll help you. Maybe not.
Larry Nassar did not arise in isolation. Rather, we saw the worst sexual assault scandal in history unfold because a predator was left in power for decades. Despite warning signs, despite red flags, despite direct reports of assault.
Nassar's victims, now calling themselves an army of survivors, have been the loudest about questioning how we got here. Gerstner says everyone must be willing to examine the culture we're surrounded by, especially when it comes to prioritizing successful athletic programs at big universities.
It's for the glory of sports. It's athletics. It's the worship. It's the money. But this has happened in other places, the Catholic Church. We've had the Boy Scouts. I think all of us need to take a step back and truly say, yeah, this can happen anywhere. Are we watching our house? And we were not watching the house here at Michigan State.
We've seen it at Penn State University. We've seen it at Baylor University. And now we're seeing the alleged mishandling of sexual violence at Michigan State University, a trend Gerstner fears could continue.
As a journalist, I know this is happening again. This is going to happen somewhere else again. It just will. But as an optimist, I hope we can learn something from this as a world and try to stop this before it ever happens again.
It may seem like a simple gesture. Spend 10 minutes on a Wednesday night flashing lights at the patient rooms inside the Children's Hospital. And those on the ground may not be able to see the little faces peering out of those windows. But after seeing what it's like to be inside, I can assure you that they and their loved ones see every single person who comes out to say goodnight once a month.
Look, sit up. Look at. Can you see down there that they got all their lights out?
2-year-old Kinsley has a congenital heart defect, and doctors decided putting off surgery was no longer an option.
Do you have any owies? Did they fix your heart and make you all better? She is a tough cookie. She had open heart surgery Monday, and she got out of surgery about 5 o'clock. And 2 days later, we are already out of the ICU.
Just in time to enjoy 10 minutes of pure magic down below.
Yeah. Wow.
What's a cut?
Kinsley was one of dozens of children on the receiving end of Wednesday's Project Nightlights outside Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. The vibrant lights and sirens were a distraction for both this brave little girl and her mom.
To be honest, this is a terrible situation. It's nothing that anybody wants to be in. So anything that anyone can do to make, a little more enjoyable is really wonderful.
There? The surgeons made Kinsley's heart stronger, but perhaps this selfless gesture by complete strangers outside her window will help her heart heal even quicker.
Say hello. We're up here. Oh, yeah.
Silent observer alongside the Child Life Program at the hospital got this new tradition off the ground over the summer. And a reminder, too, that the Child Life Program is one of several hospital programs that would be supported by a grant that the Children's Hospital is currently running for. The Vote for Miracles campaign is open for daily voting through Tuesday. We do have a link inside this story to vote. You'll see that on woodtv.com.
They're neck and neck with Hurley Hospital and Flint.
Yep, they're close. Just a couple hundred, actually.
I love that, too, because maybe Kinsley doesn't know exactly what the people on the ground are doing, but the light, she can at least sense that I have one, they have one.
Exactly.
They're with me.
Yeah.
You can feel that.
It's wonderful, especially for the parents, because they truly, they fully grasp what's happening, and it's awesome to see just all of the emotion and excitement when those lights shine up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lynsey.
Do you try to stay pretty optimistic?
I try, but I fail too often.
You fail too often, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you fail.
You can't do it.
Dr. Elizabeth Ostendorf now spends her days at a Lansing rehab facility, but just 3.5 years ago, she was conducting research for Michigan State University. Her boyfriend, now one of her caretakers.
It's kind of a complete 180 to what you've done before, where you're independent and now you're dependent. So I think that was the hardest part, right?
In October 2014, her life changed in a catastrophic way. A truck belonging to MSU, driven by a MSU student employee, ran over Elizabeth.
She sees him at the last minute and she tries to get out of the way. She moves to her right and he just continues to back and knocks her over, and she falls to the pavement, and then the rear wheels of the truck run over her head.
Doctors didn't think she would survive. And her attorney didn't think Michigan State would drag out her lawsuit as long as they have. Elizabeth is here on a visa from Germany. Because of that, MSU determined she's not eligible for workers' comp, but their insurance company, United Educators, argues she is. A judge awarded her $7.5 million last year, but she hasn't seen a penny because United Educators refuses to pay MSU's claim.
You talk about the old adage, adding insult to injury. This is a great personification of that. It's a horrible personification of it.
Because realistically, they could step up and pay it.
They absolutely could do that. They should do that. Michigan State's got to make a decision. What is the right thing to do, and do it. And if they are at odds with their insurance company, then fight it out with their insurance company.
Target 8 found United Educators has been in the news before, currently at odds with Penn State University. PSU settled with Jerry Sandusky's victims, only to have United Educators deny $42 million in claims. Because of that track record, we asked if United Educators would be the same insurer involved with the Nassar litigation. An email statement said, "It is not appropriate for us to speculate on any potential settlement." But interim President John Engler referenced the insurer while answering questions about the Nassar litigation earlier this month.
As Penn State found out, sometimes insurers don't pay. They're still trying to track theirs down. The one place that you don't go, because it's restricted under law, or endowment funds. That will not be how they're paid for. So it will be, students and taxpayers.
If it's all true, then United Educators becomes the common denominator in cases where students and members of university communities were victimized and had to fight tooth and nail for justice. That's wrong.
The grim reality, though, is that no amount of money can ever rewind the clock.
That was a trust fall. Yeah. You can't be angry all the time, right? Now it's more like frustration and being, in general, like worried about the future.
I think it's accepting that my life plan changed.
Accepting that your life plan changed?
Yeah.